I don't wanna live that way. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, what's up? So, I sorry, my dog distracted me in the corner, but I'm gonna actually switch this out. So I got a request, sort of, not the video. I suggested making the video, but this is essentially for my friend Carice and like whoever else needs this. I wrote some notes, not very much, but I wrote some notes, and we're gonna be talking about toxic people. Now, there's different types of toxic people, of course, and I feel like definitely when navigating around this type of energy, you have to definitely be aware of what kind of toxicity it is. Like, is it someone who is extremely aware of their behavior, cognizant of the way that they affect others, but still willing to be toxic? Or I know that sounds pretty bad too, like why would you continue to be terrible if you know, but I digress. Or are they unaware? Are they subconsciously a terrible person? Like, some people genuinely feel like they're doing good, they're doing well, when really they're just spreading toxicity. If we can speak this video, that'd be cool, please. Yeah, some people genuinely feel like they are decent people, but low-key they just spread negativity and toxicity and hate. And if you're dealing with that type of person, I'm sorry. But I think my best advice would be to just distance yourself. Like, obviously, if it's safe, make it clear how you feel about this person or like this person's behavior, and just distance yourself. Just don't find reasons to not be near them, or like within their space or within communication, you know? But then also I feel like another important thing when dealing with toxic people in general is perspective, and understanding that we all display some negativity, some toxicity within ourselves at times, some worse than others, obviously, but we all have the ability to be bad and good. And having a perspective of no judgment can definitely be helpful, because then you get to a space of understanding that it's not necessarily bad what they're doing, it's just that's the way they see the world. And so for them it's natural, for them it makes sense, for them it's perfectly normal. And you're not really going to get anywhere, especially if they're the type who's unaware of this kind of behavior. You're not going to really get anywhere if all you're trying to do is just like get them to change their mind, because they don't even see a problem with it in the first place, you know? So definitely perspective is important, having a no judgment perspective. And a lot of the times, because the way that she explained it, maybe it's not necessarily what her situation is, but a lot of the times it's outgrowing people, because people change. We always talk about how people don't change, but people change like all the time. Like all the time, and be it for the better or worse, people change. Evolution is guaranteed, and maybe de-evolution also, but people do change, and people have the capacity to change. And when that happens, it's okay. And I feel like one of the worst things to do when that happens, specifically when you're outgrowing someone, is to hold on to that energy, hold on to that person. Like, you can also apply this to non-sentient beings, like, you know, habits, like addictions and whatnot. Like, when you outgrow stuff, Like, why would you, like, let's say you're a flower and you're in a pot. You outgrow the pot, or you outgrow the pot, and you can no longer really fit in that pot. And maybe that pot was like home to you, but you can't fit in it no more. It's no longer for you. So what do? Well, I mean, as a flower, I guess you would just wait till somebody took you out and put you in another pot. But assuming you're some sentient flower who can like move and do stuff for themselves, you would get out of that pot and go to a different pot that suits you better, you know? And obviously this can be easier said than done. This can be way easier said than done. But this is a way to solve your problem. Also, if they are the type of person who is more aware, then having a conversation, having a dialogue, being like, hey, I don't appreciate that you do this or that, and here's how I would feel more comfortable in this relationship, or any variation of that. It doesn't have to be that sentimental, that deep, but essentially voicing how you feel. Like, if you care about this person, if it's somebody like at work or something and you don't really care for them, I mean, you could just say nothing. But no, I'm just gonna stick with that. I mean, another possibility would be to have a conversation, but that's a lot of work for someone you don't care about. That's a lot of energy for someone who you only have to see at work. So, yeah. I didn't really write much notes, honestly. I literally wrote those 3 things. But, yeah, toxic people, like, I don't want to say you're always going to have to deal with toxic people, but you're always going to have to deal with some toxic people, or at least energy that you don't really get along with. And that's not necessarily bad. Like, once again, I feel like it is definitely necessary, definitely helps to look at toxic people from the perspective of no judgment, understanding that humans, we are born and raised to act a certain way. We're programmed to act a certain way, and sometimes it's not always the most healthy, and sometimes it's not always the most kind for those around us. Like, for example, like, sometimes people have defense mechanisms that for themselves it may help them feel safe and comfortable, but on the surface it's not really helping anyone, and if anything it's just making the problem worse. Like, specifically, like, with avoidance styles, like people who, when they get in confrontation, and I can kind of be that way sometimes, but people who run away or walk away when things get tough, when things get weird or uncomfortable, which, if we go back to the distancing, it makes sense. But if there's a way to solve the problem, if there's a way to fix it, like, at least try first before dipping. But once again, I understand that we all have our conditions, we all have our hang-ups and shit, and at least being aware of it is a decent thing. Like, I know I said that if you're aware of something, why would you not change it? But the first step to fixing something is being aware of it, is being cognizant of it. And I'm so grateful that that alarm didn't make this video go off, because I would have been tight. Because then I would have had to force myself to actually see if I could edit. I haven't tried to see if I could edit. And also, I don't know if my phone is on Do Not Disturb. Oh my gosh, oh gosh. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. Because I've definitely known toxic people. Like, I say, I've dealt with a lot of toxic people, and I've definitely been close to a lot of people who are toxic. And it's not to, like, badmouth them or, like, shame them for existing the way they do, but like I said, an important part of dealing or handling toxic people is no judgment. Like, understanding, like I said, like, we all have our shit. And just because your shit isn't as terrible as their shit doesn't mean that it's better. Like, I feel like that's literally, like, according to the English language, that's literally what I just said, but it's no. Like, just because it's not as bad does not mean it's better. It's just different. Someone who smokes cigarettes all day is no better or worse, in my opinion, than someone who I feel like this is a bad example. I was gonna say, like, drink coffee or, like, sleeps all day or something. I don't know, but definitely no judgment. And if we want to go to the Bible, there's a couple lines or whatever. Don't ask me to quote them, about not casting the first stone, not setting out to fix the log, or no, the if I can speak, the twig in somebody else's eye when you have a whole fucking log in your own eye. Like, essentially that, like, we all have our shit. We all have our shit. Even when we feel like we don't have our shit, we still have our shit. We're all imperfect. And yeah, what else could be said about toxic people? I really should do more notes I enjoy doing off the cuff, but it's very unorganized, and sometimes I don't have much to say. And specifically when I do these types of videos, when I can't edit, then I kind of have to be ready. But yeah, if you're dealing with some toxic people in your life, I'm sorry. It really sucks. It really does suck. And I feel like I touched on this, but definitely sometimes it is not them being toxic. It's just that you don't fit. You don't really mesh anymore. And sometimes that could feel like toxicity, but generally it's just, you outgrowing them. Like, you not really having much in common. Like, once again, your situation better than I do, but assuming that it's a situation where it's not necessarily toxic, but they do make you uncomfortable, it's just you don't fit. And it's not necessarily a negative thing if you choose not to look at it as a negative thing, but all that really means is that you just don't align. And when I say that, I mean, like, your values don't align, your communication style doesn't align, your desires, your needs don't align anymore. Well, I mean, we all have the same needs, I guess, but, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. Once again, it's just a thing that happens. People change, people grow, and people drift apart. And that's for any type of relationship too. She specifically asked about family, and I could definitely talk about family, but this applies to any type of relationship, whether it be like friendships or lovers, especially lovers. Like, if you're dealing with a toxic lover, I mean, I don't even know why you're in this relationship. But I will say though, there was a tweet. I feel like it sounds like all my information comes from tweets, but I am not only on Twitter for education, and I don't get my education from Twitter. But yeah, they said triggers only, like, this is a common understanding, but triggers usually are there to help you heal, because it wouldn't trigger you if there wasn't something that needed to be rectified, if there wasn't something that needed to be looked at and examined. Like, let's say someone, I'm gonna use myself as an example. Let's say you have an issue with people ignoring you, and that's a really big trigger for you, right? It's not necessarily that they're ignoring you, that this person is ignoring you, that is the issue. The issue is that you do not like being ignored. And I feel like definitely knowing where to place blame is important, because it's not them ignoring you, it's the fact that you are being ignored. 9 times out of 10, not speaking for everyone, obviously, there's always exceptions to the rule. You know your situation better than I do, so please don't let me tell you how your situation is. But yeah, at least for me, when I discovered that, like, I really had to do some searching, and I really had to understand myself. And I was like, why do I dislike this so much? Like, why is this grind my gears so much? And I thought about it, and I understood where it came from, and I had to work through it mentally, and I had to be like, it doesn't make me less of a person if someone doesn't respond to me immediately. It doesn't make me less of a person if someone doesn't want to share their time with me. And I love myself either way. Like, definitely affirmations. Like, I know this isn't necessarily related to the main topic, but affirmations are definitely important for perspective. Like, the things that you think. Like, some people, I definitely feel like it's not that important, but it's like, you wouldn't say the things that you think out loud, right? Like, if they're negative, you wouldn't say that to people. You wouldn't announce that. You wouldn't say things like, I hate myself. I hate myself. I don't like it here. Well, I mean, maybe some of you, but you wouldn't say it seriously. Like, if you were in a serious conversation with somebody and you really, it wasn't like on the table, you wouldn't just be like, I hate myself. I fucking hate myself. I wish this person would stop talking to me. Like, what the fuck? Like, you have to really, in order to get to a place of non-toxicity, you kind of have to retrain your mind. But that's something for another video. I definitely do want to do so many teaching videos. Like, the Gemini in me is just screaming to do more teaching videos, because I have a lot of information up here, like a lot of information. And I definitely want to talk about affirmations, because affirmations are so important. Like, I know there's a lot of people on here already talking about affirmations, but affirmations are so fucking important. And I feel like this is a good stopping point because I don't really have anything else to say right now. But definitely, if I can think of more things, I will be back with a part 2 or whatever. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're wonderful, and whatever time it is, have a nice rest of your day. Bye.